Information. If it exists in writing, we print it. If it exists online, we update it. If it exists on mobile, we notify. If it exists in video, we show it. If it exists in audio, we play it. In the past, the news had to wait for a paper to print for it to happen. Today, news happens in real time. It's analyzed, edited, and published immediately by us, your neighbors, and of course, you. Wherever you are, you write, edit, give opinions, share photos, and make the news happen. This is why a paper needs to be on print, on screen, and on your phone. Wherever you are, your news has its pulse in the community. The Boca Raton Tribune. We are much more than just a newspaper. We are your closest neighbor.
And welcome back to another episode of Tribune 360, Boca Raton Tribune election special, where we'll be talking to all the candidates running for city council. Today, we have the pleasure of having Constance Scott with us, who's running for seat C in the city council elections taking place March 9th. Constance, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Pedro. So I'm very appreciative of having the opportunity to speak to you and to all of those who want to watch the replay of this video. I'm deeply appreciative to get my message out to all of the voters.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate having you on. So for those that might not remember you or might not know who you are, just introduce yourself a little bit to us, you know, where you live and things like that, and go from there.
Okay, well, thank you. Again, I'm Constance Scott. I've lived in East Boca Raton in the downtown for the last 26 years. I grew up winters all my life since I was 6 years old in Boca, graduated from Boca High in 1972. I have a degree in economics from the University of Michigan. And as an adult, I was a former council member. I was chairman of the CRA for 5 years and deputy mayor for 1 year. I did economic development for 10 years in Michigan for Palm Beach County Economic Development and for the city of Fort Lauderdale. I retired from business banking, commercial lending, and serving as a financial consultant for Smith Barney after 16 years with Citibank. And I've been with Florida Atlantic University for the last 5 years since leaving the city council when I was termed out. And I serve as the director of local relations there. I'm a coalition and business developer with government, workforce, and university experience. As a council member for 2 terms, I got plenty of experience and intimate knowledge about our city's budget, how to build our budget, and how to sustain our city during very tough economic times. I served in 2009, which was the time of the Depression. So it was a very challenging time on the council. And as CRA chair, I was elected by the city council members to 5 years, and we focused on projects that would bring economic development to our downtown and revitalize areas of Meisner Park and Sanborn Square, especially at a time, as I said, during this strong economic downturn. It was a time for the city to step up, lay infrastructure, and set the stage to demonstrate to the community that we were still in business, and it was very successful.
Yeah, so, you know, you talked about, so sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, so you talked about how you've been, so you were in council before. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to run again to be a member of the council this time around.
Well, I've been interacting for the last 5 years with the city council as part of my job with Florida Atlantic University in a partnership, creating the International Town and Gown partnership with the city and FAU, as well as many other projects that have been going on and research that FAU is doing, and just keeping the council members educated on what we're doing at the university and building a coalition of relationships, continuing that relationship that I had in the past. Over the last 11 months, I will tell you, Pedro, watching the meetings, which I've always done, watch the City Council CRA workshop, the pandemic is what really brought me to the point that I decided I need to run again. I saw things that were happening, more importantly, things that weren't happening that I felt were really, really important to do. I wanted to be a part of it. I felt that my knowledge, my experience, the wisdom that I've gained over the years, especially my years on the council, and what I've put together in terms of the community since then, and things that we've done at FAU regarding COVID that I felt I could add, I could bring to the city. And so that's why I really decided it was time for me to run.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think city government is so important and essential to everyday life?
Well, I think that if any time more than now, COVID has brought it to the forefront. The local unit of government is the closest government to the people.
Yeah.
Okay? It is the government that affects the water that you drink. It affects the parks and recreation that you participate in. It affects the sanitation and people coming and picking up your garbage. It is your streets. It is every single thing that you wake up in the morning and you flush your toilet and it works. You brush your teeth and the water works. Your electricity works. Your automobiles work. Everything that is a part and connectivity to this community is your local unit of government, your home rule, as you will. It's the place where people see you walk your dog. People see you in the restaurants. People see you in the grocery store. You're not removed from the exact same people that you're representing. So based on that, the decisions that you make are very heartfelt. The fact that it's supposed to be nonpartisan on a local level, it gives you the opportunity to really impact people's daily lives in a very positive way.
Mm-hmm. So let's say if you were to be elected to the city council, what are some things that you would immediately change if elected?
I think the very first thing that I would do is put a very strong emphasis on COVID and the pandemic and the healing process of our community, the vaccinations, making sure that we're getting our fair share and that they're being distributed adequately and quickly and distributed equitably. We've been following a very strict protocol at FAU in terms of getting employees back to work, getting students back to school, and following a 113-page document.
Wow.
Lays out everything that needs to be done, how it needs to be done, including an attestation that has to be done every single Monday. And we're doing it now twice a week, where before you can even log into your computer, you have to attest that you are healthy, that you haven't had any sickness over the weekend, that nothing has come up, nothing has changed. And once you sign into that attestation, then you're allowed to log into your computer. So these are things that I would be adding to the city and recommending that the city manager implement for our employees so that they can get back to work. All different types of things, from sanitation to protocols having to do with plastic, guard for people, masking, all these types of things to protect one another, but affording people the opportunity to maybe work flexible hours, get back to work. The sense, an increased sense of normalcy. We have so many community services that have totally been suspended because of COVID. We're now, people are getting vaccinated. People are familiar with having to wear masks. They're used to social distancing. Let's start moving back into a direction where we can have people together but separate. For instance, Zumba classes on Saturday mornings at 10:30 at the beach. People know how to stay apart from one another and how to mask. But these are classes and programs. The yoga classes that are taught at Sanborn Square, programming that goes on at Patch Reef Park. These are really wonderful opportunities for people to somewhat come together and have a sense of normalcy. We need to ease back into that. And so I would work very closely and make recommendations to the city manager that we move in that direction. But most importantly, also working with the hospitals, working with our firefighters and our police in terms of public safety and protocols, and make sure that we have all the equipment and all the PPEs and everything that's necessary for our city to move forward. And that includes the CARES Act as well. I put together a BOCA plan, and it sounds kind of corny, but it really isn't. It spells BOCA. And the first part of the implementation of that plan is about managing the budget. We took $44 million out of our fund balance this year to balance the budget, so we didn't have to raise taxes. That $44 million, if we had to do that every year, we would no longer be AAA bond Moody's rated. We could afford to take that $44 million out and not have it impact us. But we have to find a way to recuperate the monies, either from the stimulus package that hopefully will get passed by the federal government, or in other ways in terms of being able to regain that revenue so that we don't have to raise taxes, which from my perspective is just not acceptable. The plans for operations, we're looking at the possibility of Leaf retiring in the next couple of years. That means a person who has served as city manager and also the city attorney, Deanna Frazier, will be leaving. So hiring new people in those positions to work for hopefully a long period of time for our city, those are going to be critical decisions. We need people who have experience, understand history of Boca, understand the role that the city manager plays, and taking the vision that we have for the future, not what we are today or tomorrow, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 20 years from now, and making sure that a person that we put in place grasps that vision, has the skill set to be able to do that job, and is satisfied with whatever we offer them in terms of an opportunity to work with the city.
Yeah.
C stands for community. It's CARES. It's COVID. It has to do with our community. It's all about the people in this city. That's what drives the greatness of our community and the quality of life of this community. It isn't just because it's paradise and a wonderful place to live. It's the people in this community that is special as it is. And the way we come together in times of crisis and in times of celebration. And that's what this city is all about. So the CARES Act is important to me to make sure that the money is getting in the hands of the people who need it and are struggling the most. It's important that the businesses that are closing, that are shuttered, that they get the funds that they need adequately in order to be able to open their businesses back up, start new businesses, whatever it is, to be able to get our vibrancy and vitality and to rebuild that strong tax base that we have. So the last is amenities. A in Boca, amenities. Maintaining our parks and recreation, making sure that our beaches are clean and safe and maintained, and rebuilding the relationship that we have with the Beach and Parks District. It has been really fractionated over the last few years. There isn't a good relationship with the Beach and Parks District and the City Council. When I served on the City Council, we were very close. Over the last 20 years prior to that, the two relationships were very strong and worked together to make our community the best that it could be when it came to parks and recreation. And I want to return us to that place. So that's amenities. So that's the Boca plan. That's why I'm running. That's why I want to serve again. I feel that I have a lot to offer. When I served on the council before, we had a member of the council, Michael Millay, who was well into his 60s when he ran for office. And we called him, the distinguished member of the council. He was a statesman. His wisdom, his knowledge and experience added a lot to the city and to the council. And I'd like to think that my experience and my leadership skills will add strength and value to the city council.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's greatly put. If we're jumping into some issues that's happening in Boca for the last however long for as long as I've known, one of the biggest issues I see is parking and traffic, right? I feel like we talk about that every election cycle. What are some things that you believe can be done to make that situation better?
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know a community across America that doesn't have traffic and parking and historically, I've always said that those are good problems to have because it means that people want to be here and it means that there's a vibrancy and that there's activity. In the downtown area, I think where we're at now is we're primarily built out. There are shovels in the ground, there are cranes in the sky. And when those projects are completed, Pedro, what I think we need to do is we'll need to then step back and do a reevaluation study of our traffic plan, of what we've done historically, and the 8 million square feet of Class A equivalency in terms of office space equivalency will be completed. We got to take a look at it and see, what we can do and what we need to do. I feel very, very strongly about a circulator or more than one circulator.
Yeah.
I think a collaboration with the Boca Resort and Club, which we used to have in the downtown, a collaboration with the newest condominiums. We've got P6 has 2, 155, 101 via Meisner, and the Alina. Getting these groups of people together and say, you know what, if we had a circulator that could make it around and pick up people from all of those buildings and drop them up at Publix and CVS and go to the beach and pick up from the beach, we would save people a lot of driving. And as people get older, they don't want to drive. They don't want to have to deal with traffic. They don't want to have to deal with parking. So in the downtown area, I don't think that it's a complicated program. And I also think that we have a responsibility as a city to also help fund that. I don't think that it should be the responsibility of an independent operator to foot the bill for something that is such a huge asset to our community in terms of taking trips off the road.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that there are issues with parking. A lot of the issues with parking, I do believe, are driven by a lot of the workers that are building the buildings. And those people, if they were taking a bus, or the people that they work for were shuttling them, I think we would have less of an issue right now with a lot of the vehicles that are in the downtown that don't have places to park. I also know that there are a couple of projects that are looking at being built that will have adequate parking in terms of additional parking added to their projects that would help with the downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll have a parking garage affiliated with it. And again, a circulator for that is planned, and Brightline will assist in that. And I think the city should partner with it as well. Now let's cross over I-95 and let's talk about Town Center. Let's talk about Congress and APOC and the Broken Sound Park of Commerce. These areas, we know that the homes that are in the western communities drive a lot of that. They come up and down I-95 and they go west to all of the new residential that isn't necessarily in the city of Boca Raton. When we put together the plan for the planned mobility, the 5 sub areas with the overlay districts for planned mobility, the purpose of that was to take trips off the road. It has been very successful. I think that what we have to do is we have to look at those parks. They are required to have commuter. They are expected to be able to transport people from Tri-Rail back and forth. We need to revisit those programs, see how successful they are, make sure they're being monitored. And of course, the second Tri-Rail station that initially was being talked about behind where the old King's Market used to be, where Boca Center is, had that Tri-Rail station been built, we would have had a large parking area that would have been built along with it, and that would have been a huge asset. Due to the fact that the Midtown project was turned down, unaccepted by the council, I don't know. We're going to have to hope that there will be someone else who will come along, who will want to work with the city, who sees the advantage of doing a project in that Midtown area, and then we'll be able to create more parking.
Mm-hmm. In another question, it's I feel like this one's gonna be close to your heart. We all know that FAU has a growing population. It's growing tremendously every single year. And the question that I've always wondered and people always ask is, what can the city do to help retain these students here once they graduate? Because we see a lot of them graduating, coming to school here, staying here for the 4 years or 2 years, however long they are, and then they move away. How can we get those students to actually stay in the city?
I love this question. FAU is just, it's a rock star. People don't realize that FAU brings about $6 billion of economic impact to our community a year.
Wow.
And when Dr. Kelly came, when Dr. John Kelly, the president of FAU, came about a little over 6 years ago now, one of the things that he wanted to stress was that we didn't want to grow bigger. We wanted to grow better. We wanted to be the fastest improving university in the country. And during his tenure, we are now ranked 137 in the U.S. News and Business Report in terms of universities to attend.
Yeah.
We were never even ranked before. FAU has a Carnegie designation. FAU is ranked in the top 5 in terms of our MBA executive program. We have a top 10 College of Nursing school, and we have one of the most improving and successful colleges of medicine, the Schmidt College of Medicine on our campus. 64 medical students graduate a year to go on to their internships and residencies and hopefully come back. Your question is spot on. And one of the things that we recognize at FAU is so important is to have the students get internships and have the students then get jobs.
Yeah.
Charged by the Board of Governors that every university, all 13 universities answer to. One of the things one of our benchmarks is that our students graduate getting a job in their field of study. And it has to be a job we get rated based on the salary and the amount of time that we track them for about 3 years to make sure that they're in the position and they stay in the position. And then we get points for that. We get credit for that. So it's a really big goal of ours. We have expanded, the university has expanded their career program in terms of we have an amazing career center that the students can go to. They can attend, it's a 10 or 13 week program. They learn how to write a resume. They learn how to answer telephones. They learn all types of social skills that you don't necessarily learn in a classroom, and that maybe some students don't learn, at home because they, just don't have the time. So it's a great opportunity for students to learn the social skills that they're going to need when they go into the workforce. Mm-hmm. We have career programs on campus where any company, we do several career campus events. So students can interview for jobs, they can apply for jobs, they can meet business owners, they can meet corporate owners. And we also have a department that I work very closely with, and that is literally going out to the businesses, talking with the businesses and asking them what they need and what they want. And then coming back to campus, talking with faculty, talking with curriculum, and making sure that our students are really prepared to go out into the workforce. So we're very aggressive with that. Our Tech Runway is a program that starts young entrepreneurs. You can be faculty, you can be a student, and then we have a certain amount that come from the community who have startup businesses. And you go through the entire process of how to start your business, how to run your business, and how to become successful. Mm-hmm. These are we focus on this. We want our students to stay. It's a passion of mine. I can remember serving with Mayor Welchel and she had children that lived all over the country, and her goal was to be able to have a community that had the jobs that her children could come back here and live. And I'm happy to say they all are. They're all very successful. And my daughter lives here and she's very successful. That's what we want. And when you have gone to a school, to a university as awesome and excellent as FAU, and you get a career and a job, and you raise your family here, let me tell you, there is a commitment to that university. You become a loyal alumni, and that builds so much more happiness, much more affluence for the community, much more involvement in the activities at the university, and a real loyal alumni sensitivity to everything that we're doing on campus. So I'm very proud that we do have those programs in place.
Mm-hmm. We touched a little bit about this earlier, but how do you feel the city has done in the COVID-19 pandemic, and how would you and city council assist the city in the coming months to either get better or to continue the way it is?
I think that the city has had some challenges with COVID, and I think that the messaging has been fair, but I do believe that our community is very, very concerned about the pandemic, very, very concerned about the management of the pandemic, very concerned about, for instance, we didn't have a location for quite some time in Boca Raton in terms of being able to get COVID tested. FAU became the site for COVID testing. We have PCR testing as well as rapid testing on our campus. And hopefully at some point in time, if we can find a partner to work with, it would be wonderful if we could also be doing vaccinations on campus as well. So that has helped a lot. Spreading the word has helped a lot. But I really think that there's been a shortfall. I think there's been a tremendous shortfall in terms of the CARES Act. There was over $1 million that was given to the city in terms of getting the funds out to businesses, individuals, and it took 3, 4, 5 months for that program to actually get up and running and get that money distributed. I want to tell you, we got about $800,000 at FAU, and we had that money distributed to students within about 60 days. I mean, we worked very aggressively to make sure that that happened. The city now has almost another $1 million that they're going to be receiving, in addition to the money that they still haven't spent. And I want to make sure that that gets in the hands of the right organizations, whether it's not-for-profits, such as Boca Helping Hands, such as CARD, which is a program that is on FAU's campus to special needs children that needs can be met. AD Henderson, which has needs for high-risk youth. And there are programs that $450,000 gets funded every year to our not-for-profit community. We need to be meeting with those people and finding out what are their needs and how are they struggling. And then we've got our homeless population. We need to help those people with their lifestyles and with the problems that they're having. We need to work with them closely and make sure that we have solutions.
Yeah, great. Those are great points. So what would you say are your strengths when it comes to what you can do and to help the city council?
I think that I've been a leader historically in this city in all the things that I've done professionally. And I also have been a huge contributor in this community to the not-for-profit community and to the organizations that are there, from my Rotary Club to the Junior League to various Boca Raton Bowl, the Boca PGA Championship Golf Tournament that I've served on for the last 5 years. I have the skill set, I have the knowledge, I have the professional wherewithal to be able to help on the city council to lead our city in the direction that hopefully we'll be able to determine with a visioning and a new strategic plan as we move forward into the next couple of generations. I have the experience. You can't take that away. It's not something that you get by just being a volunteer. It's not something that you get by just growing older or wiser. And it's not about new ideas. New ideas are a stream that just don't come from one person. They come from the connectivity that you have to people with new ideas. They come from the connectivity of the corporations in our community, the individuals in our community that do have the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience to bring new ideas. I don't necessarily have to be the person with the new idea. I just have to be the conduit or the person that people want to come to say, I have a great idea. What do you think of this? And how do we move forward with it? I am that person. People reach out to me. I am, because they trust me, because they know I have the leadership skills. They know that I have the experience.
Mm-hmm. As we start wrapping up, what you touched a little bit about future. What would you say is your vision for the city in the future?
Well, my vision for the city is similar to, I guess, what if they use. I don't necessarily think we have to get bigger. I just think we have to get better. And I think that we have to strive to become a world-class city. And that means that we need to incorporate the new ideas that are out there that we haven't implemented. There are so many things that come into play when it comes to smart cities. So many new technologies, so many new ideas, so many ways that we can do things in a smarter fashion. And that can affect traffic. That can affect parking. I'm not sure that we're going to have as many cars on the roads in another 10 years. I'm just not sure that is how transportation is necessarily going to work. So we have to plan for the future in terms of, are we going to build 10,000 per automobile space parking garages, or are we going to plan for, a formidable future? We have to make sure that we are on top of things like climate change. We have to make sure that we are prepared, with the issues having to do with sea rising. We have to be prepared for the warmer temperatures, and we have to insulate ourselves from risks that they're having in other areas in terms of blackouts and brownouts and those types of things. My vision for the city is exciting. I see more companies, more businesses that are going to want to move from the eastern area down here, whether it's corporate headquarters, whether it's hedge fund managers, whether it's small businesses that can operate anywhere they want to, or whether it's an Amazon who needs to have a new place to do their warehousing and distribution. I want us to have the low taxes, the desirable education. Our schools are Class A. We have a relationship with our schools, with Palm Beach County education. So I see those as all great opportunities. And of course, I don't want to be remiss in mentioning my endorsements, because these are people who believe in my vision. These are people who trust my experience and my knowledge. And it's the Boca Raton firefighters, the police department, the realtors from St. Lucie all the way down to Broward County voted and approved me as their endorsed candidate. And the Human Rights Council, my position and stance on human rights being respected and represented by that organization. Frank Barbieri, the president of the Palm Beach County School Board of Directors, and then of course our Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce, the business community, of which I've been very involved in for the last 26 years.
Yeah. As we wrap up, I've asked this question to pretty much all the candidates. So, who's a political figure that you admire most and why?
Political figure that I admire most. Right now, I probably would say in this particular time in the world that we're living in would be John Lewis. And I would say because he spent an entire professional life working toward collaboration, coming together, equality, human rights, fought hard and tirelessly his entire life to make that dream come true. Never, ever faltered, no matter how scary, how frightening it was, including almost losing his life. To me, that is a person that you look up to, that you admire, and it was a grievous loss, and hopefully his legacy will continue to move us in that direction.
That was awesome. Constance, thank you so much for your time and talking to us today, and showing our readers and our viewers a little more about yourself. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. Great.
Right. Yeah, don't forget, guys, vote March 9th. And yeah, make sure your voice is heard, because voting does matter. Take care, guys.